So, I'm about to officially become a senior in college this year. So today, I'm gonna bring it back to some of my most awkward freshman moments that all happened in the first few days of my freshman year. Now, if you're about to become a freshman yourself and are all worried about things like not being able to find a class, parking spot, friends, food, a job, whatever, don't worry about that.
You probably won't.
Initially at least. I'm a commuter and now have no problem with any of those things. So don't worry too much, okay? My first day of school was actually to attend a job fair. I dressed up in a nice blue button-up shirt and tie with slick back hair and a folder with my resume. When I arrived, majority of the other students at the job fair had on street clothes and nothing else. Needless to say, I received a call later that same day and was hired. I had an on-campus job before my first official day of school. Everything was going all according to plan, but that was soon about to change. One of the main complaints my school gets is there is nowhere to park. Absolutely nowhere. I had no problem parking for the job fair since barely anyone was on campus and there was no classes going on. So I parked in the most logical place, the parking garage. It literally has park in its name. Now, for my first actual day of school, I get to the parking garage and there's a whole line of cars. I drove all through that parking garage, all the way to the roof and right back down. Not a single parking spot. When I get to the exit, there's two ways you can turn, left or right. Now the thing I didn't tell you yet was after the job fair, I chose to go right when exiting the parking garage, which leads you right into a paid parking lot with no turnaround. And there just so happened to be a car that pulled up right behind me. So, like what any normal person would do, I looked up at that parking gate, the ticket for the paid lot, and reached my hand toward the shift knob and put my car right in reverse. Luckily, the person behind me was nice enough to let me out, and I'm so thankful for that because there's no way I could even afford to put even a single dollar back into school. So with this prior knowledge, I made the correct informed decision and turned left, while the person behind me turned right. Ha! Sucker! I took so long finding a parking spot that day that I could see my gas meter actually go down. In a Toyota Camry, I finally found one spot between two cars parked so horribly. I'd like to give a sincere apology to my Toyota Camry. I was desperate that day, but luckily nothing bad happened to you that day. Now the next thing I had to do was get to class. My school had a thing called the first floor to get students prepared and comfortable with finding their way around campus, which I didn't go to. It costs $50 whether or not you go, but I totally don't regret not going. If you're a commuter and hate icebreakers, like me, then choosing to stay home and save $25 on gas and have 4 more days of summer should be totally fine when you have the power of GPS. So, I take out my phone with GPS and plug in my first class's building. I had 15 minutes before class and my estimated arrival time by foot said 25 minutes. No. I'm not gonna be late to my very first class. My phone definitely underestimated my walking pace that day, but now I had to find where my class's room number was. Stub? What is stub? Why couldn't it just be a regular room number? Luckily, a few minutes later, I found out it meant Studio B and found a class filled with students. I walk in the classroom, dripping in sweat. Now, where do I sit? The only available seat was all the way at the end of the row, and no, you couldn't just walk around because the seat was against a wall. So you could probably already imagine how that went. The next day, I knew exactly what to expect. I parked all the way at the end of campus, find plenty of parking spots, and head out on my way with my trusty GPS. Or so I thought. I wasn't paying any attention and ended up walking in the opposite direction, since my phone was turned the opposite way, which made the arrow look like it was pointing forward when it was actually pointing back. I must have looked really lost that day because this professor came outside thinking I was from her class, calling me over like, "It's okay, come over here, class is right here." And I was just like, oh, no, I'm not. And kind of just slowly backed away. I get to the building my class is in, and this time I go into a different entrance. I must have thought it would be a shortcut or something. But when I get inside, the building looked completely different in there. It looked like a place I wasn't even supposed to be in. So I just awkwardly exit and go through the entrance I remember going into the other day and ended up right back to where I just was. Turns out I was in the right place after all, and all the people in the hall literally just saw me leave and come back through the other way. Now, like most of you, you'll meet at least one person from your high school. There was a girl from my high school that I used to end up running into often during the first month. We didn't really talk in high school, but since we recognized each other, we would say hi to each other whenever we saw each other. This one time, I was walking down the hall and saw her sitting against the wall, looking down at her phone, waiting for her class to start. She glances up as I walk by, and I start to wave and smile as, "That's not her." She quickly looks back down with a disturbed look on her face. No, I totally wasn't interested in her. But did I just get rejected? However, now that I think about it, do you know how much more awkward it would have been if she was interested?